guys, welcome to another episode of I Just Want to Be Spiritual. Today I'm going to be talking about my journey with therapy. So, how therapy's helped me throughout my spiritual journey and how it continues to help me. So, before we get into that, we have to do the crystal of the day. So, today it will be Tiger's Eye. So, you can kind of see, let me turn it this way. There, you get a better view of it. This is yellow tiger's eye. I think there's like red and there are different colors of it, but I personally like yellow. Yellow tiger eyes for confidence, protection, grounding, personal willpower, good fortune, insight. If you really want to kind of start believing in yourself and trusting yourself and being confident and knowing that you can make decisions, this is the crystal for you. So it's tiger eye, and I will put that in the descriptions as usual. I also have a tiger eye bracelet. So there's many different ways you can wear your crystals, but this is a really great one for me right now because I am working on being more confident, trusting myself, believing in myself, knowing that I can do hard things. And so working with this crystal has really helped me become more confident in myself to the point where I'm able to even start a blog or a vlog. This is something that is not in my typical nature, but I'm able to do it, and I'm just going to keep going. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope that you will continue to tune in for more episodes. All right, so today I'm talking about therapy, and I know some people are not into therapy, they don't believe in therapy. Therapy is just a hot topic, and I'm so glad that in the last few years mental health has become more popular and more people are bringing light to the subject of mental health because it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not to be shamed. Everybody has mental health. If you have a mind, you have mental health, and everybody is allowed to do things that make them feel good mentally and that help to take care of their mental health. Some people have mental health disorders that need to be worked through and worked on with medical professionals, and a lot of people won't because of the shame. They feel like people are going to think that they're crazy or weak, something's wrong with them, or be afraid of them, and so they just don't seek therapy. And or they don't want somebody else in their business, a stranger in their business. And it's like, I understand all of those things. The main thing that I don't agree with is the shame of people who are seeking mental health services, who need mental health services, and who are open about their struggles. I don't think that it's something to be ashamed of, and I don't think it's something that people should feel badly about expressing to other people. They need this. So that's my little rant about mental health and therapy. I'm obviously very passionate about it because I just feel like it's so helpful. And a lot of people, not all people, some people just don't do therapy, and that's fine, but a lot of people would benefit and would be more likely to go to therapy if there wasn't fear of judgment. And so I just want to do my part in alleviating that stigma and making mental health a normal thing, normalizing it, because it's very important, especially now in a pandemic, in quarantine. People are struggling, and they need to be able to say that without feeling like something's wrong with them or whatever. Also, men's mental health is something that I also am trying to bring awareness to, and I hope that men will follow this vlog as well, because in this society and other societies, that toxic masculinity is just like running rampant, and men can't have feelings or emotions, they're not allowed to cry, And that's not realistic. Everybody has feelings and emotions, and if you need to express those emotions, you should be able to do that without shame. So just remember, men and women, anybody, this is a safe space for you to do that. We are all here to be a community, to help each other, to love on each other, to treat each other with kindness and respect and love. And this space is safe for you and anyone else that needs anything, needs help or anything like that. Obviously, I'm not licensed, or I'm not a doctor by any means, but I am somebody who cares about other people, and I do want to help other people. So if you are out there and you're struggling and you need some help, please do ask for help. Please don't be afraid to ask for help. Please let somebody know that you're struggling and that you need something, and get yourself, some help, and get yourself to a better mental state. All right, so now that I've said those things, one of the benefits of therapy is just being able to talk to somebody that is not a part of your life. So somebody who doesn't really know you or your family and isn't necessarily biased by previous interactions or whatever. They just are knowing what you're telling them and then going off of that, so you're giving them the story of your life, basically. So you go in there and you be honest about what's happening for you, and they can help you sort it out. And they can also help you to see things in a way where it brings up like feelings of, you're like, oh, I guess I didn't see it that way, a new perspective. And sometimes you realize that you were wrong, or you could have handled things in a better way, or the way that you were seeing things might not necessarily been the most helpful situation. So it really does challenge you. If you have the right therapist, it is going to better you. And sometimes it takes a while to find the right therapist. I have had a lot of therapists in my lifetime, and some of them were good, some of them weren't. And sometimes I had to be, an advocate for myself and say, this person is not working for me, I need somebody else, and go through that process. Sometimes it was annoying to have to go through another process of finding another therapist, or telling the clinic or whatever, I don't want to work with this therapist. So it's like paperwork and stuff. So sometimes it's annoying, but at the end of the day, it's better for you to have somebody that you feel comfortable with, because you're more likely to go back. So just make sure you advocate for yourself and be honest. And if somebody is not working for you or giving you what you need, then it's okay to say that. With that, though, also make sure that you're giving someone a chance, though, because the therapist may say something that you don't necessarily like or agree with, and it may upset you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad therapist. Some things, obviously you can, just use your own discretion to figure out what's good and what's not. But sometimes, especially in the beginning of therapy or the journey, it's hard for somebody to tell you when you did something wrong, or to hear constructive criticism, or to hear somebody challenge your thoughts. It can be really hard to accept. So my advice would be to not take things so personally, and to take a minute to really think about whether or not those opinions are valid or not. But don't just brush off, the therapist right away because they say something that you don't agree with, or you don't like, or you didn't want to hear that. Like, it's not going to be helpful to you in the long run. So just be open-minded. Take an open mind when you try therapy. Do your research and make the best choice for yourself. But don't give up. Don't just, go one time and like, oh, I don't like this therapist, I'm never going back. Or even 2 times, 3 times. Like, it may take a little while, but if you're really determined to heal and to do the work, then just keep trying, and eventually you will get to somebody who can help you. And, you may not like them long term, but they can give you at least something. You could learn maybe even one thing from them. So, my journey into therapy started in 2015. I went once before when I was much younger, but I don't really remember that. Um, I do remember seeking out therapy in 2015. I had stuff going on where I just needed to talk to somebody else and sort out my feelings. And so I was seeing a therapist for a few months. It was a male, and he was good for that time in my life. He was really helpful for me. He helped me to work through everything that I was going through at that time and just figure out how to move forward. And so for that time, I really appreciated his help. That's another thing too with therapists. They may only be seasonal. So they may only be with you for this specific season in your life, and then they may fade away, and you may find a different therapist to help you with something else. So don't get too attached to one therapist, because maybe that therapist is just there to help you with one or two situations. So just bear that in mind. It's something to keep in mind. And then okay, so back to my story. I was seeing that therapist 2015, the male therapist, and then eventually I stopped. I just felt like I didn't need to go anymore, so I stopped. I had resolved the issue that I initially went there for, and so I didn't feel like I needed to continue, so I didn't. And then in 2016, when I had my quarter life crisis, I sought therapy out again. And by this time, I was in college working on my bachelor's degree. So we, as students, were able to access free therapy sessions. And so I utilized that, took advantage of that, and started doing therapy at my school with an intern. And that was like the pivotal moment for me, where I finally, I got on the path to finding people who were going to be a part of my journey and help me along the way. Her name was Kelly. You can follow her at Dr. Kelly Vincent on Instagram, I think is her Instagram. I will tag her in the description, but she really helped me at that time in my life. And I don't even know if she knows how much she helped me, or how much that time really meant to me, but it did. It was very critical, and it just was the catalyst for my work in therapy. And up to that point, I didn't have anybody really to relate to me and make me feel like I was understood, and see things from a different perspective, but also not make me feel badly about myself. And so she encouraged me and inspired me and challenged me, and made me feel better about that point in my life where I was feeling so anxious and depressed and scared and just didn't know what was going on. She helped me find different techniques about the anxiety, talk about the anxiety, pinpoint where it could be coming from, have the courage to confront situations and not just let them go, but to talk about what was going on. And so it just made a big difference for me. It was very impactful. And sometimes you don't know how much of an impact you can have on somebody else just by, one word or one interaction you have with someone. So just make sure that you always remember that in your day-to-day life. You could really impact on somebody just by giving them a word of encouragement, and something that you didn't even think about could be something that stays with them for a really long time. So so I just really appreciate how she supported me during that time, and it was something that I needed. And when we had our last session, our very last session, she gave me this elephant here. And this was one that she just had in her office for people to color. So it was blank. And then she let me take it home a couple times to color it in when I was feeling anxious, to take my mind off of it. And when we finished, she let me keep it. And so I still have it. This is from 2017. I still have it. And I have it up on my wall with another elephant, along with a printout that she gave me to go with the elephant. And I just thought it was such a nice and thoughtful thing to do for her to do for me, to be that thoughtful and think that much of me that she would want to give me a gift. And it says the main characteristics of the elephant are strength and steadfastness. Therefore, they have become the symbol of physical and mental strength, as well as responsibility and earthiness. An elephant also represents patience, longevity, loyalty, and good luck due to their long life on earth. And I mean, I don't know necessarily where she found this, but it resonated with me at that time. And it made me feel like, wow, somebody thinks that I embody all of these things. And maybe, I should start believing that about myself too. So thank you, Kelly, for everything that you did, because it really made an impact on me. So continuing on with my therapy journey, once Kelly left, there was a new therapist that I went to go see at the same facility at my school, and I didn't really connect with her. She was not an intern, she was like a main therapist there, and I just didn't feel like we were connecting. I didn't feel like she was understanding me. It just wasn't going the way that I thought it was going to go. After having had that experience with Kelly, I was comparing everybody to that experience, and so it just wasn't sitting right. And so I found the courage to, tell her. I did an email via email that I wasn't going to be seeing her anymore, and that I asked for somebody else, because that was my way of confronting it. I was very afraid of confrontation. It's something I'm still working on. And then she called me, which was like, oh my gosh. I was really like nervous about it because I felt badly. I didn't want her to feel bad or anything like that. But it was fine. She just said, did I do anything wrong? Did I upset you? And I just explained to her, no, I just don't feel like it's working out. And it was fine. But that was very nerve-wracking for me to feel like I was being confronted. But I was able to get through it, and it was fine. And the next therapist that I saw was also an intern. Her name was Laura. I don't know, I haven't been in contact with her since, but she was different from my original therapist, Kelly. She didn't really have that same enthusiasm and bubbliness that Kelly had. And sometimes I felt like, she didn't like me or something. And it wasn't even anything that she was doing. It was me. It was my perception. It was me being overly, like critical or whatever you want to call it. But she gave me what I needed at that time. And she challenged me, and she didn't let me off the hook with certain things. And she, was like tough on me, but in a good way. And it took me a while to get used to it, but I do appreciate what she did for me also, because she didn't just let me get away with anything, or, just let me get away with doing the bare minimum. She pushed me to do more. And so I appreciate her as well, everything that she did, and I always remember her too. And then my last, most recent therapist was actually my first female Black therapist. So I'd never had a Black therapist before, and that was a new experience, but a very necessary experience. And she was very instrumental in my journey. She even worked with me and my family, like doing family sessions. Her name is Uriel, and she made a huge impact on me. Like, she just was supportive of me, but she also, similar to Laura, called me out when I was doing something I shouldn't be doing and held me accountable, and gave me tasks and pushed me and pushed my limits, and you know, was there to celebrate me when I did good things, but also there to tell me when, like you know, get back, you could be doing better, like stop. And I needed that. I need somebody to take me out of my head and remind me to come back, bring it back to earth. Like, this is the here and now. Let's be right here and right now and deal with this stuff. And I really appreciate Uriel's part or season in my journey, because she forced me to do hard things, but she also built me up. And she also reminded me, like, that my feelings matter, my words matter. I'm not, crazy, and the things that I'm thinking are reasonable and rational. And sometimes it's hard to decipher that going through life. You don't know if you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, and I question myself a lot. And so that just kind of took the guesswork out of it sometimes, where I could bounce those ideas off of her, hear her feedback, and then filter it and say, okay, I know I'm making the right decision. I knew I was making the right decision. I just needed somebody to verbally acknowledge and say, you already know what to do, so don't question yourself. And I really appreciate her for that. So my journey through therapy has been a bumpy one. I have had some good therapists, I've had some not so good therapists, and I've just kept going. If I don't like a therapist, I am able to say that. I had a therapist that kind of babied me and was like, oh, that must have been so hard for you. And it's just kind of like, I don't need that. I just need somebody to listen to me. I've done therapy in so many different realms and arenas. And when I was in England, I had a therapist, and it just helps me to keep going. And I just feel better after I've been able to express my feelings to somebody who's objective and non-biased and can help me figure out my thoughts. So that's my little video about therapy and the benefits of therapy. I hope that if you guys are thinking about it, or if you feel that you're in need of talking to somebody, that you will do what it takes to start that process. Maybe it's not a therapist, maybe it's a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a marriage and family therapist, so whatever it may be, start that process to start healing yourself if you need it. And take an open mind. And yeah, comment below if you have any questions or anything about therapy, about the therapeutic process, or you want to share a little bit about your therapy journey. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time.